everyone, this is Chef Sabrina from Guled and Garam, coming to you from the Bites and Brew studio. Today, I'm going to show you a pretty simple recipe that we like to enjoy here at the studio when we're feeling kind of snackish. It's a traditional Southern Italian cuisine, and we're going to be cooking up these beautiful stuffed zucchini blossoms. So first of all, we have our mixture. This is what we're going to stuff our beautiful flowers with. I have here about 200 grams of mascarpone with a little bit of cream cheese, some chives, and garlic. I left it out of the fridge so it melts a little bit. So here you have a pretty good consistency. This has been left out of the fridge for about half an hour. We're going to add some delicious mascarpone cheese. This is about 200 grams of mascarpone cheese. You can use less if you don't like it. You can use more. It's totally up to you. Go crazy with this recipe. There's absolutely nothing holding you back from putting as much cheese as you want. We're going to mix that in a little bit. And next we're going to add mozzarella cheese. Mozzarella cheese is going to give it that really good stringy texture. And who doesn't like a bunch of cheese, you know? Like, this is basically just a bunch of cheese stuffed in flowers. We're going to fry them up. You can use, I have about 100 grams of mozzarella cheese. You can use more, you can use less. Go crazy. We're going to mix that all in and really get the cheese incorporated together. We want a nice thick paste. And to thin it out a little bit, here I have some heavy cream. We're going to add the heavy cream in just to get a softer consistency so that it's easier for us to pipe it into the flowers. And again, we're going to fold that in. Fold that all up in the mixture. And then we're going to heat this up a little bit so we get some of that cheese to melt. I have a bain-marie prepared behind me. And we're going to heat this up and then cool it down because we don't want to pipe hot cheese into our flowers. Here we have a bain-marie that's been kind of heating up. We're going to heat up this cheese mixture. And you notice I didn't put any salt because you don't need a lot of salt. The cheese is already kind of salty and it gives it that really good flavor. And I'm going to show you the pastella that we make later. And that's going to give it a really good flavor. So if you put salt in here, it's going to be way too salty. So I'm just going to leave this plain. So now our cheese is melted a little bit. And we're going to put this in the freezer to set while we make the pastella. And then it'll be just the right consistency to start piping it into our flowers. So let's head on over to the freezer. So while the cheese mixture is cooling down, we're going to make our pastella. A pastella is basically a really light and thin batter because we don't want the batter to be too thick. When it coats the flowers, it's still going to let those beautiful bright petals shine through the batter. So first what we have here is an egg. We're going to whisk that in to break the yolk. We have 70 grams of all-purpose flour. And we have 30 grams of cornstarch. That cornstarch is going to give the batter, like the pastella, a beautiful crispy texture. So you really don't want to skimp out on your cornstarch. If you don't have cornstarch, you can always substitute it for like rice flour, tapioca flour, potato starch. That's all pretty good. We're going to use a pinch of salt. We have here 60 grams of Parmesan cheese, which is where the flavor really comes in. Like I told you, this dish is basically just full of cheese. So for any of those cheese lovers out there, you're going to have to try this at home. And if you guys do decide to try this at home, remember to tag us on Instagram because we love to see your creations. We're going to dilute this with about 250 grams or 250 milliliters of just plain water. And if your batter still looks a little bit too thick, you can always just add a little bit more water, you know, because you really want that thin consistency. You just want it to really lightly coat your flours. We're gonna whisk that all in. We're gonna add maybe half a tablespoon of garlic. Just give it a little extra flavor. And we're gonna whisk that all in. So in most batters, you don't usually see this, but this is my secret tip for you to give it that really delicious fresh flavor. We're gonna use a bunch of mint. And honestly, the more mint, the better. Don't be scared of it. Mint is so delicious. It's really gonna elevate your batter into something so flavorful and delicious. You won't regret making this at home. And we're gonna mix it all up until the consistency is really nice and light. See, look at that. It's just dripping. It's still really, really liquidy, so don't be scared of that. So after about 15 minutes in the fridge, our cheese mixture has tightened up, it's cooled down, and look at that. Oh, all that cheese is gonna be stuffed into these flours, gonna fry them up. That cheese is gonna melt all over. It's just gonna be delicious, guys. Like this recipe, come on, you gotta try it. You gotta try it, you gotta tag me. You gotta tag Bites and Brew. You know what, we're just gonna go all the way and we're gonna pour it in. Oh yeah. And that looks awesome. So now we're gonna start stuffing our flours. We don't want too big of a tip, but we want a tip big enough that those mozzarella pieces can really come out. Because we don't want to skimp on our toppings, right? So what we do here is we're gonna find that hole in the flour. Here, right here. See? Open it up. Sometimes you'll find like a little pollen in there. It's okay, you can leave it, it's still edible. You're gonna find that hole, you're gonna pipe in your cheese mixture, really fill it up. See that cheese mixture in there? Beautiful. And now we're gonna close up these flours. Just gonna pinch it up here and give it a little twist. We don't want any of that cheese filling coming out. Precious, precious, delicious cheese filling. And there you go. That's your stuffed zucchini blossom. So come on, come with me. Let's continue stuffing all of our flowers. So now that we've have all our zucchini flowers stuffed, look at that. Look at how fat and plump they get. We're gonna go baste this in the pastella and we're gonna fry it up. So come on, let's go with me. Remember to always mix up your pastella because we don't want any of the cheese sinking down to the bottom. We're gonna take our flour, we're gonna dip it in really lightly, give it a twist. Now we're just gonna drop it in. You can smell that garlic, Parmesan. Absolutely beautiful. If you guys have a deep fryer at home, you can use that. We're just putting 5 of them in here because we don't want to overcrowd the pan. And we're just going to let them fry off, let them get a little bit of color. And by the time you put the 5th one in, it should be about the time to turn the first one that you put in. So now that we've fried these up, Let's just garnish it with a little bit of parsley, some Italian parsley, and there you go. Finished product. Super simple, super easy. It takes like 15 minutes from start to finish. I really want you guys to try this at home, especially for you cheese lovers out there. Let's see what the inside looks like. Ooh, you can hear that crunch. Look at all that cheese. I'm gonna enjoy myself. Absolutely delicious. Dip this in some really simple marinara sauce. You can get this out of a can, out of a jar. Just dip it in. And enjoy. So thanks for tuning in today to Gulay dan Garam. I'm Chef Sabrina. I really hope you guys try this at home, and if you do, take pics, share it, and tag us on Instagram. Feel free to change the recipe to whatever you guys like, add some chili flakes. You can eat this with sambal, you can eat this with ketchup, go crazy. And here it is, our zucchini flowers. Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy myself today.